breaking, in my opinion, because we've been talking about maybe them taking Trubisky. We've really covered this from all angles, Peter.
Yeah, and then you got to wonder, and I think we'll have Ian on, is this a smokescreen, right? Because now all of a sudden, all along we've seen every mock draft say Solomon Thomas. Say Solomon Thomas. You know, he's a Stanford guy. John Lynch is a Stanford guy. They know him in the backyard. And we've been saying it makes sense to take a quarterback, but now here we go. They're strongly.
But so does it make sense, though? Because they do have
if they like him,
quarterbacks they added.
If they love him, yes.
They also have a terrible, historically bad defense. And that open for business quote to me said everything. Look, I don't know what they're doing. I'd be very surprised if they took a quarterback there. Considering they got Hoyer and they got Barkley, they seem to be set up. Bad defense, position to negotiate, open for business. I'd be shocked.
You know, I love it.
I would. Is it likely that they keep that number 2? Is anybody trading up?
I think the Browns would be interested in trading up if the Niners can sell that they like Trubisky enough.
I see.
And using media like us and getting it out there and then, hey, wait a second.
Something stink here.
Hey, listen, it's draft week. You said smokescreen. It reminds me, we love superhero movies, right? It's like when Batman has that smoke bomb, he goes,
oh, yeah, and then he goes up,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what people are going to start doing. This is draft week. And now that we feel like we have our minds made up, even these teams that have their boards made up, all of a sudden you'll hear little things being dropped into the media, and we're going to start biting on it. Even teams will bite on these ideas and make a pick that they don't necessarily want to make so other teams can position themselves. This is why the draft is so exciting.
A good lesson was last year, Joey Bosa, 3rd overall to the Chargers. We've been doing mock drafts, Tunzel, Stanley, Ramsey. Oh, they're going to take Zeke Elliott. No one said Bosa all along. They were on the clock, and they took Joey Bosa. So if you hear that they're strongly considering a quarterback, yeah, that makes sense. They don't have a quarterback. That would help. I mean,
Ian
that's a good point.
49ers still considering a quarterback at number 2. That, to you, doesn't seem like a smokescreen.
It does.
It does seem like a smokescreen.
I think it makes sense. No, I think it makes sense that they draft a quarterback, but having it out there doesn't hurt if a team's looking to get Trubisky.
Do you mean to tell me that they don't use mock drafts as their guide in the war room? They just go by whatever you guys say?
Exactly.
Look.
Hold on. Schrager says we got this guy, Jed, so let's do this.
You're laughing about it, but
yes.
There's an entire industry. We had a guy on the show today, Matt Miller.
Yeah, Fournette, number 2.
Whose career, his job, is to do mock draft. 52 weeks. So we laugh at this, and I'm saying a lot of people in the NFL, too, will say, hey, I don't care what the mock drafts say.
Right.
There's a lot of truth in those mock drafts.
I love mock drafts.
I think they're great for fans. Do you think they're great really in the war room?
I don't think I'm putting something together, throwing darts at a board.
No, we know that.
Oh, Peter, I'm not belittling. I know you work very hard on it. You know anything. I'm just saying.
No, I'm saying, though, I don't think the people who do these mock drafts are we don't go to the combine and speak with scouts for 6 months and then just throw darts at boards. I think there is truth to these mock drafts. So when you see Solomon Thomas to the Niners in every mock draft for months, I do think Solomon Thomas is probably the leader in the clubhouse.
And you have your Joey Bosas. And I'm watching the draft over the weekend. They're watching old drafts. It's nothing like they expected. It's not even close. That, to your point, Nate, is why it makes so much fun, because we can study all the mock drafts, and they're completely wrong sometimes.
Oh, you're watching the NFL Network drafts of previous years,
they
right?
Were great.
They're ridiculous.
Some of the reactions to the players are fantastic. Trent Richardson, we're going to take over the AFC North. And it's like, oh, my God. Robert Griffin's up there telling Dion, I told my mom I'm never going to get hurt. It's kind of sad in a way, because then you know what happened to him, but it's great to go back and look.
When I played, I used to think that mock drafts were just a bunch of nonsense. And I wouldn't pay attention to what people were saying. And then one year I started to be a little more involved, and I walked into the war room before the draft, and I looked at the board.
What team was it?
This was when I was in Detroit.
You walked into the war room. You saw the board.
Well, I just saw them preparing for the draft. I didn't walk into it in real time.
Right.
And I saw how everything was laid out. And what I realized is the mock drafts and what these teams have are very similar. The one thing that shakes everything up is that one pick that nobody counted on. And that literally changes the whole complexion. So it's almost like, okay, we have all these guys. Then they have to wipe their board because one team goes out there and they do pick a Bosa. They do pick a guy that we weren't talking about because they were just holding on to their cards all year.
Okay, open for business is what John Lynch said. And then today they're strongly considering a quarterback. It seems a little smoky to me.
Maybe it's just up in the air, and maybe it really is. Solomon Thomas, Trubisky, Leonard Fournette, all pretty savory draft choices.
They are savory. I think there's smoke on the wall.
How good is the draft?
It's the best.
Savory, smoky.
How good is the draft?
We're talking barbecue? We're talking draft.